Welcome back to both of you to the Zoom room for another Art of Letting Go night live session. So let's have a look at today's daily quote. There's an email that where are we? Let's just yeah, there we go. I'm just going to share my screen with you. A bit slow, but it's just there we go. Okay, it's done, and then get that going. Okay, got it. Share screen. All right, so this is today's quote. You can read that one, Karen.
Okay.
Sigmund Freud.
Maturity is learning to endure the pain of deferred gratification. An ego thus educated become reasonable. It no longer lets itself be governed by the pleasure principle, but obeys the reality principle, which also, at bottom, seeks to obtain pleasure, but pleasure which is assured through taking account of reality, even though it is pleasure postponed and diminished.
So Sigmund Freud, possibly the most famous psychologist, psychoanalyst. He kind of founded the whole field, really, in history. Talks about what he calls the pleasure principle, which is the tendency of people to pursue pleasure and avoid pain, and the power of deferring gratification by not seeking instant pleasure and instead choosing the pleasure that is assured when we acknowledge reality. So what does he actually mean by reality? You might wonder. Well, it's difficult to know exactly what Freud's understanding of reality was. He's clearly referring to a reality that is beyond the immediate need to gratify our urge for instant pleasure. While he was a self-professed atheist in the sense that he denied the traditional Judeo-Christian religious view of a single God somewhere outside of us, this doesn't mean that he didn't have some idea that there was a transcendent reality with a capital R beyond the material world, and that the source of real pleasure lies there rather than in sense pleasure. That's sort of what his quote indicates, doesn't it? That there's some kind of other reality going on, although he doesn't expound on what that is. Whatever Freud's personal understanding was, he seemed to come to much the same conclusion as Siddhartha Gautama, also known as the Buddha, who saw about 2,400 years earlier that desire or craving, which was Tana in the original Pali, is the source of all suffering, an insight that became the second noble truth of Buddhism. This sense of continuously desiring or craving, he saw clearly was the source of human suffering, and therefore the way out of it, the way out of suffering, was to let go of craving. It's the third noble truth and the fourth noble truth. Very simple. That's the problem. Then let go of the desire and the craving, and you won't suffer anymore. So these insights into the nature of pleasure have been backed up by research findings. The Stanford Marshmallow Experiment, as it's called, was a study on delayed gratification in 1972, led by a guy called Walter Mischel. So in this study, 54-year-old children were offered a choice between getting one marshmallow or pretzel stick immediately, or two of the same if they waited for 15 minutes while the researcher was not in the room. So they monitored the kids and they made notes of who was able to wait, and some kids weren't able to wait, and they noted who they were, and they then followed their progress for years afterwards. And they found that the children able to wait longer for the preferred rewards tended to have significantly better life outcomes measured by SAT scores, educational attainment, things like college degrees and so on, jobs, body mass index, other measures of quality of life. So stated in simple terms, the children who were able to delay gratification were more successful in their later life. But the most interesting aspect of the research was what the children who managed to wait for 15 minutes to earn the second reward did to help them achieve this impressive feat for a 4-year-old. The researchers found that children could not effectively delay their gratification merely by thinking about something other than what they want, but rather their success depended on their ability to use suppressive and avoidance mechanisms that reduced their frustration. So the children who managed to delay gratification made up quiet songs, music. We know that's very helpful as a spiritual practice. They hid their head in their arms. They pounded the floor with their feet. Anger management. They fiddled playfully with the signal bell. They verbalized the contingency. They prayed to the ceiling. And the most dramatically effective self-distraction technique, after obviously experiencing much agitation, one little girl rested her head, sat limply, relaxed herself, and proceeded to fall sound asleep. So the most effective technique of all to delay gratification was very similar to meditation. She actually just quieted her mind and she just drifted off. And so she wasn't at all focused on the reward. The remedy for the problem of craving that the Buddha taught is along those lines, which is a combination of watching the breath and systematically observing the sensations of the entire body in a meditation technique called Vipassana. That's been confirmed that these techniques are effective by modern psychology. So despite all of our so-called technological progress, the fundamental problems of human life and their remedies have really remained the same. The Buddha's insight is as pertinent, possibly more so now, because we have a society governed by desire for instant gratification, and also strong aversion reaction. So the flip side of desire is you desire something not to be away. So you avert it or you avoid it. And then, we have industries like the medical industry and insurance industry, things that you're trying to prevent and avoid, which are also massive in our society. So largely these insights are still very valid for today's world, possibly even more so than they were 2,500 years ago. This is because truth is eternal and unchanging, which is what Yeshua teaches us in today's reading from the text reading for today, from which I've taken an excerpt below. And we'll cover this in full a bit later in the session. Bakang, if you can read that quote from section 7 of chapter 1.
The confusion of miracle impulses with physical impulses is a major perceptual distortion. Physical impulses are misdirected miracle impulses. All real pleasure comes from doing God's will. This is because not doing it is a denial of self. Denial of self results in illusions, while correction of the error brings release from it. Do not deceive yourself into believing that you can relate in peace to God or to your brothers with anything external.
Yeah, so we can actually read this in the alternative. It's just because I've done that translation. In the alternative, it reads a little bit differently. Let's just open that up. Day 8, I think. There we go. Okay, so that's number one, yeah, all real pleasure. So read it in the alternative.
Your distorted perceptions produce a dense cover over correction impulses, making it hard for them to reach your own awareness. The confusion of corrective impulses with physical impulses is a major perceptual distortion. Physical impulses are misdirected corrective impulses. All real pleasures comes from following the guidance of perfect love. This is because not doing it is a denial of self. Denial of self results in illusions, while correction of the error brings release from it. I should
Not deceive myself.
I should not deceive myself into believing that I can relate in peace to pure, formless awareness of perfect love, or to my companions with any external.
Anything external. So what's he saying in this one, really?
It's saying that our perceptions, they actually don't lead us straight to actually, getting into the journey of, correcting ourselves to come to perfect love. So whatever that we perceive and we, persist in it, it will never bring us close to, full awareness.
Talk about physical impulses. So these are impulses to physical pleasure, whatever that may be. It might be food, some other substance, alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, sex, big one, whatever. Maybe it's zoning out in front of Netflix. These impulses, what he's saying, are misdirected corrective impulses. So it's a distortion of what is actually the miracle or the correction that the ego is making to hijack your mind into really identifying with the physical. Now, if you keep honoring physical impulses, then what you're saying is that I'm a body, I'm not a mind. My body governs and dictates my thoughts. So my body is more powerful than my mind. And I really become enslaved to these impulses. And we see that in extreme cases of when people get very addicted to substances. You see that they've really given away their power to this because they've consistently given in to this impulse to have immediate gratification from whatever it is that they're addicted to. And they haven't exerted their mind to say, no, I'm going to not do this. I'm going to let it go. Or at least I'm going to delay gratification. I won't do it straight away. So there's no ability to control then these physical impulses, and then they govern your life. And if you observe people's lives who are just completely directed by physical impulses, then they're not very functional. There will be dysfunction, there will be addictions, there'll be lack of self-discipline that causes them and others suffering, pain. At the extreme, it's a extreme alcohol or drug addiction or something like that, where these people are totally out of control and their physical impulses are just governing them all the time. They're making decisions based on those physical impulses rather than on corrections at the extreme. Most people are not necessarily that extreme, but the principle applies nevertheless. So when you give in to a physical impulse, I'll just have that extra piece of chocolate, I'll just have that extra helping of food, does it ultimately make you feel good? No.
No.
Because you've given away your power, you've denied your will. And again, it's if you do that once, you can do it again and again. So it's like people get into a habit of doing it, and then they'll just continually do it, and it's not really serving them. The ego tells them it's serving them because they get a quick hit. They get like, oh, well, I get the immediate pleasure. But once that immediate sensation, that instant gratification is over, then what's left is a sense of maybe I've denied my own true will, and I might feel guilty and very a bit ashamed of myself, and so then that's likely to stimulate guilt, and guilt demands punishment, and so then I tend to do it again to punish myself, to try and get myself out and pick myself up. I desire something, the same kind of hit of whatever it is I'm addicted to, but actually underlying it, I'm punishing myself, because the more I do that, the more I'm causing myself to suffer. And so you got to see through the ego's deceptions here, and see very clearly that physical impulses are not helping you or serving you. And what really serves you is if you can let those go, and you can have the discipline to say, no, I'm not gonna do that. So I'm gonna let go of those physical impulses. Part of this course is fasting. So if you're able to fast for 16 hours a day, you're letting go of the physical impulse to eat for those 16 hours, and then for 8 hours, because our body needs some food, you say, okay, in this time it's fine, I need to feed myself. And I'm not just giving in to the impulse to eat all the time, which is what we've been conditioned to. And so you're letting go of the one of the physical impulses, and that's why I've included in the course. But you can do it with other things. If there's any kind of addiction to a specific food or a substance, practice it the same way. Okay, I'm letting this go, and not indulging. So I'd highly recommend that you don't drink any alcohol for the next 5 weeks. You just go, no, I'm not doing that. That's something I'm going to practice doing away with for the next 5 weeks. And the substances that are what intoxicate your consciousness, your mind, alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, these kinds of things, are not helping you in the overcoming of physical impulses. So give yourself that gift, and use the next 5 weeks to help you develop the self-discipline to let go of these things. And after 5 weeks, if you want to go back to them, you can, but maybe you go, well, I'm just really free. I'm glad to be free of these. I'm no longer governed by these physical impulses. Elaine, welcome.
Oh, hello. Sorry I'm late, but I had my cartoon one, the illustration one, because I missed it last week. So yes.
Okay, we've just done some sharing, started. So yeah, anything to share? Anything to share?
Well, just fairly sort of typical weekend, sort of the ups and downs. And I've got my heart set on this little dog that was going to be rescued, but went back into its little cage, and I'm sitting there going, oh, poor little thing. So I'm still work in progress when it comes to animals. They're still tugging at the heart. I know. It's work to be done.
Yeah, well, you can feel it's the issue is, are you suffering, the poor thing, and then it's the suffering, and then it makes you feel less than perfectly happy and loving.
Yeah.
That's
well, the Holy Spirit came in and it just said, right, just put your experience down on Facebook, get some nice photographs of her, and I explained how beautiful she was and how loving. and there was a lot of response. So hopefully she might get adopted.
Good.
That sort of was help. Yeah. So the guidance
Positive.
came from that one.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Very good. So if you want to dive more deeply into this, we did quite a long session on this a year ago. So click any of those links and you can listen to the podcast, or you can watch the video where we discussed this in some detail. So it's a major issue to overcome our desires, our addictions, the physical impulses, and let them go in favor of the miracle. Is a huge part of the mind training. So just start with the with small things, like food is a good one. How's the fasting going for everyone? Are you managing to do some fasting every day, once a week? So actually, from tonight, I want to recommend you do a 24-hour fast. So don't eat for 24 hours for the next 24 hours, and see how that goes if you haven't already done it. But the idea is to do it once a week during the course. How's the fasting going?
I'll start mine from now.
Yeah.
I have been fasting. It's sort of been, I did the 24-hour last week, and then I've sort of managed somewhere between 12 and 16 the other days. But I haven't been consistent about the time, because sometimes I sort of need breakfast to get going, and then I spend 12 hours doing the day, and I don't know that that's the best way to do it, but that's what happened this week. So yeah.
So you're trying it. That's good.
Yeah.
The idea is to try and sort of make it flow with your life, so you don't get too if you can go, all right, well, I'll do 12 hours between dinner and breakfast the next day. That's okay. Done 12 hours. If you can extend it to 16, then so be it. If you feel like, well, I need some breakfast, then okay. Just flow. Ask for guidance and flow with it. Okay. But try and do at least 12 hours in the day, and once a week do 24, so that you're practicing, that's kind of exercising this letting go in a way that it gets a little uncomfortable, and you're not having food and the physical sensations, but you're letting go of that need for food. Although your stomach might be grumbling and there's kind of an emptiness, you go, okay, but it's just a sensation. I don't have to react to this. What you're trying to do is break the pattern of the physical sensation, and then you just respond to it. Okay, I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable, and I just go straight to the fridge and I eat without any, hang on, what am I doing here? Let me, pause, consider this. Am I really hungry? Do I really need food now? Or it's just a reflexive, it's just a automatic pattern. So the fasting creates some pause between stimulus and response in food terms. And it's not just fasting in terms of food. You can do it in terms of other things like alcohol, any intoxicants that you're in the habit of taking. Just start letting go of those and see what happens. It's another spiritual practice for the 5 weeks that is designed, along with the others, to shift you into a different state of awareness. So that was also a big part of the Vipassana. That I would say, no intoxicants for the 10 days, because it sabotages the whole process. You're trying to detach and become more aware, and then you take a substance which makes you more attached and reduces your awareness. You're going in the wrong direction. So it's a detox for the mind, and then obviously the body benefits as well. These things, when you start detoxing the mind and moving in this direction letting go, you find that it's also very good for the body. That's how it works. Fasting done the right way, this intermittent fasting is very good for the body, because it gives a chance to rest and recover and do repair work, which often it doesn't engage in if you're just eating all the time, because it's using all of your energy for the processing of food, digesting food. So that's how it works. The more you let go, actually, the health benefits on a physical level can be dramatic and profound. That's not the reason why you should do it. You should do it because you're trying to awaken your mind and become happier and more peaceful. But as a side benefit, it can really improve your health and well-being, which feeds into the whole awakening. The idea is you don't want to be tired and exhausted and sick if you're awakened. You want to be happy, alive, full of energy, and very vibrantly alive and joyful. And so all of these practices will help that. They feed into each other. There's benefits on multiple levels if you start letting go of things like the compulsive need to eat and take intoxicants and sex and anything else that you notice that you're addicted to. Okay, does that make sense? So just practicing that over the next 5 weeks. It's well worth it. A bit of discipline will be repaid many times by an enhanced learning and experience during this course. So you get a lot more out of the course, and that shift, that transformation is priceless. You can't really put a price on that. So it's worth it. Okay, so that brings us to our live session, which we're in. And there's a bit of a breathwork practice. How's the breathwork going? Because you notice there's a kind of breathwork course built into this. So I've been giving you the breathing techniques, so you have been able to practice most of them.
Yeah, I've been attempting to do the practice. I think at first, because I was trying to get used to it. The right side, my right side of the nose, it was a bit blocked, but I see now it's better. It kind of like cleared. And then the chest as well, at first it was, a bit painful afterwards. I feel like it's been pressed, but now, it's much better. And then the headaches, I remember on Wednesday, I had a terrible headache, after the breathwork session, but Friday as well as yesterday, it was better. So I'm getting used to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just getting familiar with something different. It's powerful stuff. The breath is very powerful. These techniques are powerful. So you are likely to experience an impact from them. And if you get a headache or something like that, it's part of a detox process. So it's you detoxing, and this is the fallout from the detox. So be gentle with yourself. You don't have to push it. Just keep practicing. If you need to, you've got a headache, if you need to take a couple of paracetamol, that's okay. You can. It's not saying you can't ever use magic, because that's all it is. It is magic. You use it to help you to get through this while you're learning this. Ultimately, get to the point where you don't need it anymore, but while you're learning this, it can be quite helpful. All right. So anyone else like to share anything about their experience with the breath work? Any questions on it?
Like I said, I haven't quite caught up on it yet. I've got almost there. For some of them, I've been looking up things on like little more details on like YouTube videos about the like with the power breathing with the locks, because I was having difficulty visualizing those. So I was kind of going through some videos where it was sort of breaking it down a little bit more, and so I found that really helpful, especially for
Okay.
like say the locks and that 3-part breathing. So yeah.
Good. Okay. I did give you some videos, but this is based on yogic teachings, so nothing's unique to me. This comes from ancient breathwork practices that have been going around for thousands of years, mainly
Yeah,
in
I like
India.
some of the videos showed the actual muscular structure, so that was kind of cool. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, look at that. I can visualize it a little bit better then. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So you
Yeah.
can do the maybe next course. I'll incorporate some of those videos.
Mhm.
Thank you for that suggestion.
Yeah.
But so it's about in the end doing your best and actually practicing. In the practicing you get the benefit, and hopefully some of these stick. You might say, well, I like the power breathing. I'll do that frequently. As we go through the program, so next tomorrow we start with the then go the workbook lessons. I incorporate breathing into the mind training. So we do a lesson which has an idea, but I just incorporate the breath work into that. So I call it either longer meditation or a breath break. That's just a few minutes that has both breathing and just contemplating this powerful idea and doing the exercise. So if you do those breath breaks and listen to the meditations, you will be practicing these techniques. The power breathing is incorporated. There's usually one power breath in each meditation or breath break. And the breath watching technique, diaphragmatic breathing, just watching the breath, is also incorporated. So these are just the foundations, and then as we go further into the program, it's all kind of embedded in there. But I wanted to give you the tools to say, okay, this is this component, and this is where it comes from. You can do it as a standalone practice as well. If you really like the power of breathing, there's nothing to stop you doing that as well as part of your spiritual practice. Or just use the breath breaks and meditations I send you, and you will do it as part of those. Okay, so that brings us to today's breathing exercise, which is something called breathing on values, which is quite interesting. So the idea of this is start recording. I'm going to record this. So the idea of the breathing on values is that everyone picks a value, whatever that may be, a quality, a value. So it might be peace or love or joy or compassion or kindness, innocence, anything that you want to contemplate, reflect on, meditate on. So you then name it. I'll guide everyone through it. I'll say, okay, so now we're going to breathe in on that value, on that quality. So feel the energy of it. Imagine it coming into your body, into your mind, into your energy system. Imagine a color. Often these values have qualities of color associated to them. If you don't see the color, that's okay. Just it's your practice. It's your experience of that value. That's the idea. That the breathing on values encapsulates, and it's designed to help you to really experience the essence of this value or quality that you're meditating on quite deeply. Okay, so breathing on values. Any questions about that? Let's do it. And like anything, it's experiential. So I'll actually guide you through a meditation. But yeah, there's 4 of us. So everyone's going to have a turn to pick a value and say, yeah, this is the value. I'll then guide you through a meditation on it to experience it fully, along with the color. And once we've experienced one value, then I'll go to the next person. I'll say, okay, give me your value, just in one word. Generally, it's something like peace or love or joy. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So we try that? Do maybe a 20-minute, half an hour med. We can maybe do 2 rounds each because there's only 4 of us. So I'll go first. I'll pick a value. Then I'll say, right, you're going to close your eyes. Breathe in. I'll guide you through meditating on the value. And then just really try and feel. This is really about feeling. You can visualize as well if you're visual. It's about using your other senses, visual and feeling, to really see and feel into what this is. So that you experience it. You experience the essence of what this value or quality is. Okay, so let's start off. Make yourself comfortable. So you can just sit comfortably with your feet shoulder width apart. Your back straight. Up your hands in your lap, nice and comfortably. And the first value we're going to meditate on is peace. It's a good one to start with. So just breathe in. Nice deep inhale through the nose. Notice how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale. So it's a maximal inhale breath, a power breath. Imagine you just breathing in peace, infusing it into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, fiber of your being. What does it feel like to be in peace? Imagine a color comes in, maybe you see white or golden light. Breathe that in again into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, parts of your mind, every fiber of your being. Just feel into the peace. It's enveloping you, it's encompassing you. You just breathe in again, so top yourself up. You're infused with this peaceful presence. So feel that, connect with the energy. And if there's anything that feels not peaceful, that's diseased in any way, disturbed, anything that's untoward, that doesn't feel peaceful, it feels diseased, just notice it. Okay, breathe into it. So you're breathing the light in, this beautiful golden or white light, or whatever you visualize the peace as in terms of color. Breathing in. Feel this invitation just dissipating. It's going. Gone as you exhale. Blowing it all out with the breeze of your breath. from the lower stomach into the spine. So expelling all non-peace, all difficulty, conflict, just blowing it out. It has no place in your mind or your life anymore. Just blow it away. The breeze of your breath. So nothingness that really is. It's gone. And just rest here for a few moments in this calm, peaceful state. Observe the breath flowing into and out of your nostrils. So experience this peace. Notice how it feels. So you can anchor the word with the state, then it becomes easier to access this state again. The more you use the word and you use these meditation techniques like visualization and breathing to help you get into it, the more likely you are to be able to access peace whenever you need to. Blow it out, find the deeper peace. So we're going to move on to the next value. So there's peace, get an example. So Karen, if you can choose one. So what quality or value do you want to meditate on with everyone else?
Compassion.
Passion. Okay. So close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in. And just connect with the idea of passion. So just breathing in. Ask to feel and experience this essence of passion. Maybe you visualize.
Compassion.
Oh, compassion.
Compassion. Sorry.
Compassion. Yeah. I gotta see passion. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I'll be a little
compassion.
intense.
So,
Compassion.
yeah.
Yeah.
Compassion. So
Yeah.
compassion. What does compassion feel like? Just really kind of feel into that. You're opening yourself up to the universal frequency of it. So breathe in, just inhale that frequency, breathe it in, feel it in your body. If there's a color that comes to mind, visualize, then you can visualize a color. It's just this, maybe it's green, compassion's associated with the heart, which is green color and chakra system. Maybe it's red, white, blue, whatever it is, just imagine, feel it, breathe it into every pore and every cell of your body, every part of your mind. You're feeling very, very compassionate now. Feel the color, imagine it's just infusing every pore and every cell, every muscle, your body, every part of your mind with its powerful energy. Passion doesn't judge, it just understands. So feel into this. Say the word again, compassion. I am compassionate. there's any instances where you're tempted not to have compassion. So a person or people comes to mind, and there's some anger there, some resentment. Breathe in and just connect with the feeling of compassion, which is really about understanding. It's like, well, they just doing and saying what the ego wants them to. Compassion is to understand that difficulty, that dilemma. To feel into the compassion, breathe in again. Sense of understanding that someone did what they did for a reason. It may not have been very good or nice, but there was a reason behind it. If you were them and you walked in their shoes, then you would have done the same thing. Another breath in. Anything that doesn't feel compassionate, so just be willing to notice that and release it. So exhale, blow it out. A dark cloud or black smoke, leaving you rest in a very still, calm, quiet, peaceful state. Notice that the peace that you establish with value one is still present there in compassion. Compassion has more of a quality of connection, love. So let's ask Elaine. Elaine, what quality would you like to meditate on?
Just peace.
Peace. So breathe in. You can imagine you infusing your body, your mind, your whole energy system with peace. Imagine a light, maybe it's white light. Peace is often associated with white, golden light flowing in to every pore of your cell. Muscle of your body, every part of your mind. Every fiber of your being is in the peace. And breathe that in. That deep peace infusing heart, your mind. Feel it in your heart. Feel it in every pore of your cell, every muscle of your body. Breathing in again. This deep peace. Fusing every cell, every muscle, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. Visualize the color. Feel like it's encompassing you, it's enveloping you. There's really no difference between it and you. Completely infused with peace comes a field. Field of energy. In which you experience this deep peace. It's been called a peace that surpasses all understanding. The Apostle Paul said, just revel in it, experience it. And just experience a few still, calm moments. The essence of this peace. Feel it. If you can experience it in these moments, there's no reason why you can't experience it always. So I just said, so it is done. And then become your turn. What would you like to
Joy.
joy? Okay. So what does joy feel like? Eckhart Tolle describes it as a vibrantly alive peace. So it has kind of a quality of maybe a little bit more energy, a little bit more aliveness. So and breathe in and just tap into the frequency of joy. Got a bit more energy. It's effervescent. It's sparkling. And just breathe that into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. Is in this deep peace. And a vibrantly alive version of that peace is joy. So feel it. Maybe there's a color that you visualize along with it. Breathe that in. If there's anything that is not joyful, notice that. Breathe into it. Imagine this energy just infusing it wherever it sits. Maybe it sits in a part of your body, a location in your body. Breathe in this vibrantly alive peace, this joy. And if there's anything that seems to disturb that peace, whatever the original issue was that's caused you to bring it up, quality just and then exhale and blow it out. Blow out, breeze of your breath, any negative, dark cloud, black smoke, and just surrender to the joy. So I am joyful. And just accept that and surrender into it. I am joyful. Feel like to be joyful. Feel into it, anchor the state in. So do one more round here and another turn, pick a quality. So Karen, got another quality you'd like to meditate on?
Patience.
Patience. Okay. So breathe in again. Just allow patience to come into your energy. And you might notice that the opposite comes up, impatience. Where are you impatient in your life? You notice that counter to it is You breathe in the essence of patience into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. Maybe you visualize a light coming in. I mean, it's just a feeling. And breathe in. The essence of patience, which is the opposite of impatience. If there's any impatience still in your mind, I'll look at those thoughts and those emotions. Just breathe patience into them. Patience is eternal. Patience comes from truth. Truth that never changes. So exhale out and just blow away any impatience. Dark clouds. Blow out any impatience, like a dark cloud or black smoke out of your mouth. As you blown it out, just rest for a few moments in patience. There's nothing spectacular coming, then apply this patience just to sit calmly, quietly, and wait. It's like saying, go as it happens, is like a butterfly. It doesn't see you. It just happens. So anchor that state in. Notice that patience and peace are very much connected. Maybe you felt very, very similar feelings. These are just pointers to ultimately the same state of awareness. Just give you a different perspective, but pointing you to the same thing. It's not really different in truth. So, Elaine, quality, another one more quality, what?
Acceptance.
Acceptance.
Surrender, acceptance, of what is,
Acceptance. Okay, so close your eyes, breathe in on that. What does acceptance feel like? Feel into it as you breathe. Allow yourself to infuse yourself with the energy of acceptance. Acceptance of what? The truth. Acceptance that there is always grace beyond all the difficulties of this world. Bring in acceptance. If there's something you're not accepting and you're resisting, life, bring that to mind. Notice the thoughts, the emotions, the energy of it. And then just breathe in this energy of acceptance. And breathing in. Visualize the color. What does acceptance look like? And infuse every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, part of your mind, any darkness caused by your lack of acceptance. Notice how that is found. Breathing in again to this beautiful acceptance. So exhale. Just blow out any non-acceptance like a dark cloud or black smoke, leaving you going, gone. Just bask in this level of acceptance. Notice how peaceful it is. How similar acceptances to peace and compassion. And they just point us to the same state. Just want to experience that state now. And then Makang, you got another quality you want to meditate on.
Consistency.
Consistency. Okay. So now breathing in. What does consistency mean for you? You consistently in the truth, right? Consistently believe. Keep doing what you need to doing. Show up. And breathe in the energy of consistency. If there's a color that comes to mind, breathe that in into every pore, every cell, muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is consistent, and say to yourself, I am consistent. And just hold that in mind. Breathe in, feel into it. You feel like to be consistently in the truth. Applies discipline, applies structure. You're just going to keep doing it. You're going to keep showing up. Keep being disciplined. Keep applying the letting go. So all those thoughts. And just feel into it. And breathe in and feel what it feels like to be consistent. And then last one. Lane, if you can do another quality.
Kindness.
Nice. So kindness. And breathe in and start with the breath. What does it feel to be kind? What's kindness feel like to you? Maybe there's the color. Breathing it into every pore, every cell. Every muscle of your body, every part of your mind. Fiber of your being is in kindness. The opposite of kindness is unkindness. So there's any unkind thoughts. Feelings, emotions, just breathe into those. Visualize a color, perhaps. What does kindness look like? Color-wise, maybe it's gold, yellow, white. Just feel that washing through you, just infusing it into every pore, every cell. your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is in the loving kindness. Comes from our source, pure formless awareness, perfect love. Is anything that feels unkind in your mind about your behavior or someone else's behavior, it doesn't really matter. It's the same idea. Just blow it away. The breeze of your breath. And nothingness that it really is. It's going gone. Below stone into the spine. All unkindness is gone. And you rest in the loving kindness of spirit, which only knows love, so it knows everyone is itself, and it can only bless and heal and help whoever it interacts with, because it understands that they are really one. They just dwell in the kindness, it's loving kindness that's not just for you, that extends to the whole world. Close the meditation, just stay here for a couple of minutes. So in a couple of minutes, feel the kindness and the peace and the consistency, patience and compassion, all kind of merging into one. Maybe you start recognizing these are just signposts point you in the right direction. That's all we're there for. This rest and this loving kindness and this love and this peace and this joy. There's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, just breathe, relax, be still, and experience the loving kindness of spirit for you and all people and all living creatures. Observing your breath, breathing in and out through your nose as you do this to keep your mind very clear, calm, present, and focused. Any untoward thoughts come up, breathe in again, just breathe in the essence of kindness, maybe some of the other qualities would help, like patience, compassion, and peace. Breathe in loving kindness and the peace. Staying in this deep peace, this loving kindness for another minute or two. Something else you have to do, nowhere else to go, nothing else to achieve. Just feel the essence of all of this kindness and love and compassion, peace, consistency, patience. Put it all into one feeling, one thought, one feeling. So just gently coming back in this deep connected state into an awareness of the body and the breath, senses and the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale, and your mind, notice any thoughts, emotions, related body sensations going on, particularly anything that feels all negative, limiting, contracted, constricting in any way, shape, or form. And just exhale, blow it out. It's like a dark cloud or black smoke leaving you. And in the empty space, you allow kindness and love and compassion and peace, joy, consistency and patience to come in. Count of 2, notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair and your feet touching the ground, and notice what you're feeling, hands touching, maybe there's a subtle taste, the mouth, smell, your nose. Notice that, notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind. Not illusions, showing the truth is true. Anchor the state in, set the intention to stay here in this really peaceful, inspired state for the rest of the session and the day. So it's said, so it's done. And now on the count of 3, open your eyes. So just look around, noticing various objects in the room around you in this very calm, detached way. So no judgment of anything, just this underlying peace. Whatever you look at, doesn't matter what object you look at. So look at another object for a second or 2, and then another one. Notice that the underlying piece is the same. Notice it's the same when you close your eyes briefly, do that. Or open your eyes. So it really is irrespective of whether your eyes are closed or open or what you're looking at. And so you're teaching your mind that this state of mind is always there, always accessible, always available, no matter what you are perceiving. Because that is the ultimate truth. It is always there, irrespective what's happening on the level of form and whatever it is your senses are perceiving. So that brings us to the end of the meditation. So maybe just a bit of feedback on it. So any comments or thoughts or questions on that? From anyone?
I ended up visualizing an ocean
Okay.
a lot of the time, especially it was sort of triggered by the acceptance and just kind of because the ocean is so vast and it can dissolve all kinds of things and life and anyway, yeah, so that kind of yeah.
And that just spontaneously came, or you
Yeah, that just
you were trying came. Yeah. So these things are kind of archetypes. The ocean is one of those facets of the illusion that is used a lot to illustrate the truth. the drop, is the drop separate from the ocean? No. The drop is just part of the ocean. In fact, it's one with the ocean. The drop thinking that it's separate from the ocean is insane. It's part of a whole. It moves with the ocean. It's not ever in isolation. So in the same way we are drops in the ocean of awareness, our awareness is not in any way separate from that great ocean of awareness. We seem to have an individual self, so it's like an individualized drop, but that individuation is not the truth of who we are. In the same way as the drop is not the truth of what the drop is. It's much more than that. It's part of a whole. If you separate it and isolate it from that whole, and you only see it in isolation, and you don't see the magnitude of it, do you? You're like, but actually, this drop is the ocean, because one drop repeated over and over, trillions and trillions of time makes the ocean. This is the essence of the ocean is in each drop. In the same way as the essence of God, pure formless awareness, is in each person. They're just a seeming individual expression of the great ocean of truth, which actually is beyond any individuation. When they all accumulated together and you see them as a whole, you can see the ocean. You don't see the drop anymore. Okay, anyone else have anything to share? My experience?
I just felt more peaceful because I was a little hyper before I started, so feel more stable now. And also just visualizing the dog embraced in just wrapped up in love and kindness. Despite where its physical being is now, I just wrapped it up in love and kindness.
Oh, good. The idea of the values breathing is to feel into these things. So there's an energy around these qualities, and you can tap into it. It's like a universal archetype. The word carries the frequency. You tap into that when you meditate on it. The breathing enhances that. I'm breathing in the frequency, and I feel it, and I immerse myself in that field, and that is powerful. You're tapping into these universal fields of energy that have existed for thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands or millions of years. And that helps you. You tap into the field of loving kindness, it immediately you start experiencing it. And then that entire field is yours. In that moment, you experience all of it. Like you can just tap in and download whatever quality you need. If you just take the time to meditate on it and do this, you're essentially downloading these qualities of higher awareness. If you do it daily, you meditate on these qualities, then you start creating that kind of life. You become that kind of person. That kind of energy gets extended by you, and you create, a life accordingly. Okay, Bakang, anything else to share?
I enjoyed when we brought color, to the quality. It kind of like brought a different mood of feeling, and it shifted the perspective. When I thought of consistency, and I gave it a light blue color, that completely changed my perspective of it. I tended to embrace it.
Good. And you felt it more.
Yes.
The whole point of this is to actually feel it. So whatever the tool is, you visualize or you feel you're tapping into this feeling and you really feel it more deeply. And if you can do this once, you can do this at any point in time. If you need more consistency, you can just go and tap into that frequency anytime you want it, anytime you need, because it's there. It exists in the unseen. It's just, will you go and tap into it? Think of all the frequencies that are, going around in our world, huge amounts, but it only becomes manifest in your experience when you tap into that frequency and you download it. And then if it comes into like one of our devices, then it plays as a video or an audio, and then you can experience it. But you have to like go into the cloud, the unseen, and download it. It's the same thing with this. Take the time and have the awareness to tap in. You download it, and then it comes into manifestation in your experience of it. And then the more you do that, the more you extend it. You become a channel for it to extend into the world, because this, this whatever the quality is, it wants to come into you and you to be its host, and then to extend. The same applies for the ego's, negative qualities. It needs a host, and then it wants to propagate and extend through you. So the question is, which frequencies are you going to allow yourself to host? Your mind is to be host of something. Which are you going to allow, and which are you going to extend? And this little exercise is showing you can choose. You can choose whatever values you want. They already exist there. You're just taking the time to tap into them, and then you can experience them instantly. And of course, the more you do it, the more you strengthen that experience. So every day, and we'll get to this later in the course, but every day I meditate on 10 qualities, 10 values that Yeshua recommends as characteristics of the teachers of God, the teachers of perfect love in our alternative language. So we meditate on those qualities every day, and you experience them, you feel them, and then you start to live them. You experience the feeling, the energy of it. You start to embody that, don't you? It becomes part of you. The more you do it, the more that energetic quality is embedded, it's entrenched in your mind. You become host to it by your own invitation. And then you become an example of it, and then you become an extend of it. So you start extending that energy out, because it wants hosts and to be extended out. So if it's positive, that's a good frequency, like loving kindness, then this will create that loving kindness in your life, just by meditating on it in the way that we've done. And did you notice how powerful the breath is with it? So if you breathe in, it helps you to absorb that frequency more. The idea of the inhale breath is always an embracing, an acceptance that actually came up. Acceptance is one of the terms. I'm accepting this. I'm embracing it. And so the breathing, the inhale, is part of that acceptance. The exhale is then either a letting go or an extension. Okay, so anything else to share on that? It's another powerful technique. I use the breathing in conjunction with these values to really feel into these values and really start to have an experience using the breath to enhance it. Okay, so any other thoughts or comments on that? Let's carry on then to the next component. Today's teaching. So this is, I'm going to go into our pathways to higher awareness. Let's go. So if you recall, we've done the first 3 of them. 12 pathways to higher awareness. Maybe just to recap, each of you read one of those, just to recap on the first three, which are all about freeing myself from addictions. And then we'll go into 4 and 5.
I'm freeing myself from security, sensation, and power addictions that make me try to forcefully control situations in my life, and so destroy my serenity and keep me from loving myself and others. I am discovering how my consciousness...
Of course. Let someone else read number 2. So number 1, just to recap, is just saying you've got security, sensation, and power addictions. Security is issues about fear, what you're fearing, and you need security in your life. Sensation, that's all about physical sensations, which is very much connected to today's teaching. And then power addictions is what I need to control, dominate, manipulate in order to feel better about myself, in order to feel safe. And all of this just makes us forcefully control situations in our lives. It destroys our serenity and peace of mind and keeps us from loving ourselves and others, none of which is particularly good or functional. So it's just highlighting where, so many people, these addictions are present in our minds and in our lives. And first step to freedom is to start addressing them, to start looking at them and being willing to let them go. And that's what this 12 pathways does. All right, so number 2, Karen, if you can read that one. I'm discovering how my consciousness
dominating addictions create my illusory version of the changing world of people and situations around me.
Okay, thoughts on that?
Oh, I understand. I'm sorry. I thought that consciousness dominating was like noun verb, but it's like adjective, and then
Might need to be
noun.
might
Got
need to be hyphenated.
Yeah.
Consciousness dominating, technically speaking, yeah?
Yeah.
Consciousness dominating addictions.
Yeah.
So that's what they do. They dominate my consciousness. How my addictions that dominate my consciousness create an illusory version. Can you see how that happens? Changing world of people and situations. Your consciousness dominating addiction creates that pattern in your life, and then you experience it. Let's take your you said you had an issue with drivers. So you go into driving with that addiction. Like I need this too. I don't want these drivers. I don't want them around. That is actually an addiction.
It is so true.
And then you create that as your reality. Actually, that comes into your reality, because what you resist persists. The more you think about it, the more you crave anything for it to be some way. That's a desire. Or the more you crave that it's not that way. You go, no, I just can't stand them. I hate it. I can't stand these drivers. They just and you really energize that. You've made that very real in your experience, haven't you?
Yeah.
That's what aversion is about. You've resisted it.
Yeah.
And so then that aversion in your mind, you're really saying, actually, bring me more of that. Although you're saying I don't want it, by focusing on it, you make it real. You're actually creating exactly the mental and emotional environment for it to happen more in your life.
Yeah.
That's how it works. So that creates someone else who doesn't have that consciousness dominating addiction won't experience that. They could drive on the same route to work every day, but they wouldn't experience the same thing as you're experiencing, because it's your consciousness dominating addictions that create the experience. That's what we've got to learn. It's not, reality isn't just randomly objective, some objective reality happening to you. It's created by you, ongoing, all the time. Therefore, you can change it. So this is a very empowering thing to understand. I'm not a victim of the world I see, because I can change my consciousness dominating addictions. I don't have to keep believing these and thinking these and playing out these addictions. I can change it. So therefore, I can't be a victim of the world I see. Such a simple idea, isn't it? But this is the very essence of all personal and spiritual growth. It's just accepting that I'm responsible for my reality. I'm creating it all the time. I'm making it up as I go along. Okay, so then number 3, just to recap on the first 3 pathways, which is a little subsection of this. Lane, if you can read that.
I welcome the opportunity, even if painful, that my moment-by-moment experience offers me to become aware of the addictions I must reprogram to be liberated from my robot-like emotional patterns.
Okay.
So, despite what you're feeling, you accept. Instead of going into your typical emotional patterns. So it's painful, like pain in our body. We automatically resist that. Now we need to learn to accept it.
So this is kind of bring it on. Okay, come, whatever. Bring it on. I want to experience whatever it is I need to experience to free myself, even if it seems to be painful, because it's part of this process of awakening and freeing myself, which I want. I want more freedom more than I want to avoid the pain. Most people are like, no, I don't want the pain, so I won't face it. I'll avoid it at all costs. When you change your mind, you say, no, I want freedom above all else, and this is the route to freedom. And it's like, well, it's worth it. Bring it up, bring it on. It's a great scene in The Matrix where Neo is finally facing Smith, his nemesis, arch enemy, and he's being really beaten up on the platform, just being kicked down, and he's bleeding. He gets up and he spits it out, and then he goes, okay, come, all right, this is tough, but I'm not scared. Come, bring it on, because I'm going to take you on, and I'm not running away anymore. That's the teaching. You have to face. Morpheus said to him, you have to face these agents. You have to face the ego. You can't keep running away from it. You have to face it and undo it, which is what we all have to do. And it takes courage to face it, because it's not pleasant, and it can seem to be very big and bad and nasty and overwhelming. But if you will face it courageously, you see that it's actually not all powerful. It can be overcome. You can let it go. And this is what everything gives you the opportunity to do. I welcome these opportunities that are given to me moment by life to face my ego, become aware of it, the addictions I must reprogram to be liberated from my robot-like emotional patterns, because that's the only way I'm going to free myself from them. And then can you see how resilient you would become with just this one belief? I welcome whatever the difficulty is. You become extremely resilient, because you recognize that it's actually helping you. Don't avoid the difficulty, embrace it, because it's helping you. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so those are the first three pathways. The idea is that those set the scene. They start doing some of the foundational work, which allow you to be present, being here now. We all, have heard of the power of now, and being present is a very fundamental spiritual principle in most spiritual teachings. So being here now, how do you actually be in the now? Well, you start off with the first three by letting go of your addictions. That's gonna free your mind to be here now. So let's look at number 4 and number 5 of this. So being here now, pathways 4 to 6. So let's say, Bakang, if you can read that first paragraph, just the intro to these three pathways, being here now, from one interesting aspect to the end of that paragraph, kindly.
One interesting aspect of the 12 pathways is that if you can follow any one of them completely on the deeper levels, you'll be using almost all of them. They are systematically interlocking, which makes it easier for you to implement them together. Pathways 4 through 6 are particularly helpful in learning to live in the eternal now moment, although all of the pathways reprogram you to tune into the nowness of your life.
Okay, so he's saying, what's he saying in that one?
It's saying that we actually need to, to follow the pathways completely or understand them thoroughly such that we can actually get the deeper meaning of them. And then the pathways themselves, they are interlocking. And that makes it easier for us to actually, implement them together. So it sounds like
if you get one, you're starting to get all of them. You apply, let's say, even one of these, like, okay, number 3, I'm getting that I welcome the difficulties. I'm not resisting them anymore. Then automatically you're starting to apply the first and the second one. That's kind of included in the third, which makes our life helpful. So just considering all of these, it's like a tapestry. You're weaving a masterpiece out of these 12 different ideas that interlock, that are going to form this very, very profound, beautiful picture of your new life. Okay, so 4th pathway. If one of you, Karen, maybe can read the headline pathway in the bold. I always remember that I have everything.
I always remember that I have everything I need to enjoy my here and now, unless I am letting my consciousness be dominated by demands and expectations based on the dead past or the imagined future.
Okay, thoughts on that?
So as long as I'm not allowing, the demands of my ego to control me, everything I need to enjoy myself is right here, no matter what the circumstances. No matter what has happened in the past or what I might think happens in the future, it's irrelevant.
Yeah. The ego's chief weapon is time. So if we look at the timeline, maybe I'll go. I want to go away from this, so let me just find it in here. Look at the timeline of consciousness, and this course manual on page 17, I think it is. Let's just see timeline. what it's trying to do always is to get you to focus on the past and the future. So you look back on all the past traumas and the hurts typically, and that forms a very strong conditioning, which now affects your response in the present moment. Let's say you've had another trauma, another challenge, you bring the entire past with you. You're going to react from the ego's programmed reality, the psychological emotional attachments based on the past. Just how the ego seeks to perpetuate itself. So you've made mistakes in the past, you bring all your mistakes into the present moment when another one happens, and then you make the same mistake again. You just believe in the ego's interpretation of the story. So you're rooted very much in the past, and you also it's based on future expectations. So you might look ahead from now and say, well, you know, if I do this, then this could happen or this could happen, and we play out scenarios. And so we are not present. We're either in the past or the future, not present. And if you're not present, then where are we? We're in a delusion. There is no past. That's just memory. So it's all gone. And the future is just expectation and imagination. It's not real. So all we have is right here, right now. What is our awareness right here and right now? Yeah, so the timeline demonstrates it quite well. And when you go into the here and now, and you're able to let go of the past and the future, you go into this eternal awareness, which immediately raises you up above this battleground of time and space into this awareness, a pure formless awareness of perfect love. So you transcend time, it's eternal. Okay, so is that clear why the being here now and the being on the timeline is not helpful at all?
Yes.
Yeah, go into this a bit more. So, Lane, if you can read the second paragraph. If you're not enjoying every here and now moment in your life,
If you are not enjoying every here and now moment in your life, it is because your addictions, otherwise known as desires, attachments, demands, expectations, emotional programming, or models of how life should treat you, are making you dwell in the dead past or the imagined future. They are keeping you from being here now. All there is in your life is the eternal now moment, and your experience of this moment is created by the programming in your mind.
okay, so what's he saying here?
It's just about being in the eternal now. That's it. That's all we really have. But we've been programmed to go into the dead past or the imagined future, bringing us suffering. So we need to learn to be in the eternal now moment.
Yeah, and the key point is to access eternity, you can only access it now. In the past, you won't access it because that's not true. That's just memory and thought, and the future, you won't access it. It can only happen right now. So the now is the closest approximation to eternity that this world offers. Why being in the now is a foundational spiritual practice in most authentic spiritual paths. Okay, so next one, you can only be here now. I think it's Bakan, if you can read that. Only be here now when you instantly accept emotionally whatever happens in your life.
You can only be here now when you instantly accept emotionally whatever happens in your life. If you wish to change something, fine, do it. And you can make really effective changes when your mind is free of emotional turmoil.
Right? So what's his?
It says that we can be
Saying
in
this one?
the present moment when we just accept whatever happens in the now, instead of maybe looking back or you relating it to the past and trying to actually make a resolution of it, based on going back to the past. If we feel at a point in time that something is wrong, we are allowed to change it, but it shouldn't be a change based on our past experiences or going back into the past.
I think let's reference this diagram again. The way the spirit works is you don't reference the past or the future. You come purely into the now moment. So you're accessing eternity. Now the eternal spans time. It's always there. It's always the same. It transcends this timeline entirely. So in that eternal now moment, you have another wisdom. There's a entirely different reality and thought system behind it, which can bring you the guidance that comes from there, not from the past and your ego mind and all of its conditioning and programming and all of its then resultant fears and expectations of the future. It can just cut through all of that, and you go directly to the source and you download. So that's why it's a double arrow. You go up into that awareness, but you also download the guidance, which tells you what to think and say and do in that moment, and how this is gonna all flow forward in a way that is very helpful, very guided, without reference to the past or the future. So you can get pure guidance saying, okay, just do that. It doesn't have to be a reason. There doesn't have to be all that conditioned program. Just do that. And if you follow that kind of guidance, it's miraculous, and it works far better than your conditioned programmed mind can work. Because in that guidance, you're getting something fresh and unique. Just it's designed in that moment to help you. So it's like clearing away the channel. Think of it as like you're on a radio or TV station. There's just lots of noise and interference and different channels, and the signal's mucky, and the picture is on TV is snowy and jumping all over the place, and so is the audio because it's not tuned properly. That makes sense. You just cut that out, so you make a clear channel. I mean, think about it. We've all had it where it's like just sensory overload. You've got TVs blaring, and it's like that. It's all confused, and there's no clarity. There's no openness. So if you just shut all that down, you quiet that, you turn off all those devices, and in the quietness, you can now hear what's going on internally. It's not drowned out. And that's exactly what we do whenever we meditate. So we create that stillness and that quietness. Yeah, does it make sense? So it's purely present. We don't have to reference the past. So, ego will say, well, that's not possible. You need the past in order to make decisions. But the truth is you don't, because you can get pure guidance right now as to what to do without referencing the past. You'll just be told. And often it doesn't make logical sense in terms of this world's thinking, because it's coming from another world. All right, so let's go on to the next one. Paragraph 5 of this. We can always find things we can magnify. I think it's cycling back to the Karen.
We can always find things we can magnify to threaten our security, sensation, and power addictions. Or we can consciously perform whatever action is needed and then turn our attention to enjoying everything we have to enjoy. And we always have enough to be happy if we are enjoying what we do have and not worrying about what we don't have. So we can choose to tap into the Holy Spirit, or whatever we're calling it, to perform whatever action is needed. That could be something that we're doing in the moment, or something that some of those supports you were talking about that we've put in place, and then turn our attention to enjoying what we have to enjoy, so we're not allowing our mind to become distracted by the ego from what we have in our lives that makes us happy, like what we in that happy place.
Focus on the positive, focus on what's working. I think Tony Robbins, he talked about I think he did some race car driving at some point, and he said, the key thing is don't focus on the wall. Because if you focus on the wall, you're going to hit the wall. Focus on the open track. Focus on, following the road. Because that's the way. If you keep focusing on, I don't want to hit the wall, I don't want to hit the wall, I don't want to hit I will hit the wall. Because that's your focus. But focus on, the way forward that's being guided moment by moment. So think about driving. How do you drive somewhere? It's just 50 meters at a time. You might look 50, 100 meters ahead. That's it. If you go on a long journey, you don't know the whole way. It's just 50, 100 meters at a time. And then the next one and the next one. So it goes for hours until eventually you arrive at your destination. So that's how our lives work. Just I'm in the moment, I'm flowing with it. And if I feel guided, to turn there or go there, I'll follow that. But it's purely present. And if I keep doing that, the flow will take me to my destination. So avoid the trap of getting caught up in time and referencing everything to your past experience. Going, well, because this happened in my past, therefore, this is how it's going to happen now. All right, so powerful pathway of being present and listening to guidance and enjoying. I think that's a key part of life. There's an actual enjoyment that comes into this, which happens when you get into flow and you guide it. You can actively enjoy it rather than just acceptance. So Eckhart Tolle talks about a three-level system of conscious doing. First level is just an acceptance of what is. Okay, something's happened. It's not necessarily pleasant. Let's say, I've kind of had a blowout, so my tie broke about 11 o'clock at night, and just for a minute or two, I was like, why did this happen? But very quickly reoriented, said, okay, just let that go, and fixed the tire with the help of someone who stopped, which was really a blessing in disguise, and helped me straight away. So there was an acceptance, like, okay, it is what it is, and I'm just going to be able to move forward in that state of acceptance. So then we changed the tire. It actually was quite enjoyable. There was a connection, and it was a bit of fun, even though something had seemingly gone wrong. So that's the principle of flow in action. You can enjoy anything. Okay, so any other thoughts on the fourth pathway? Be here now, really, and enjoy. So the second level, let's go back to Eckhart Tolle's system, was, so I had to accept, and then actually what came about was some guy stopped and we chatted and there was a connection, and it was quite enjoyable fixing the tire together. But it had to start with an acceptance that I wasn't resisting it anymore. And finally, the top level is enthusiasm. So it comes from the Greek word entheos, which means God in you. And so that's joy. You enjoy the process, but you also have a purpose. You're going in a direction, which is in alignment with that purpose. And then combination of purpose and the enthusiasm, this is kind of a higher level awareness that you're going somewhere. So without attaching to the outcome, let's say you're climbing a mountain. You say, okay, I'm going to the top. I'm not going, well, the only point of climbing is to get to the top. I'm enjoying the journey as well. So I'm enjoying the whole experience, but getting to the top just is the cherry on the top. It has another dimension to our experience. Okay. So that's the fourth pathway. We're going to do one more because on Friday I forgot to do the fourth pathway. So we'll do the fifth one today as well. So who would like to read that? And it's Bakung again. And read the fifth pathway in the bolded original.
I take full responsibility here and now for everything I experience, for it is my own programming that creates my actions and also influences the reactions of people around me.
Okay, so what's he saying there?
It's saying that we create our own reality. So we need to start first by actually acknowledging that we create our own reality.
My own programming. This is essentially the difference between someone who is a victim, the world, and they believe they're a victim and they disempower themselves, they're stuck, and someone who is on an awakening path. Someone who's awakening takes responsibility. Maybe not full responsibility to start with, but it's a process. Okay, I'm responsible to an extent for this because I'm ultimately responsible for my own reactions. How I think and how I feel about it is up to me. And that this is the absolutely key point, that this is the thin edge of the wedge, the tipping point of transformation. If you can understand this, that I'm fully responsible, then I have the key to my awakening, don't I? Because I'm responsible, so therefore I can change it. If I'm not responsible, I say I'm just a victim of outside forces that are beyond my control, then I can't change it. I've defined myself as a victim that's unfairly treated, and I will continue to do that. Okay, so it's a very key point. So let's explore it a bit more. Number 2, I think that's Elaine. If you can read that. Whenever you feel unhappy.
Whenever you feel unhappy, your emotions are telling you that people and things are not fulfilling the addictive patterns you have allowed to be programmed into your bio computer. but you usually do not talk to yourself in this realistic way. Instead, you blame your unhappiness on somebody or something outside of you. When you take full responsibility here and now for all of your feelings and for everything that happens to you, you will never again blame the people and situations in the world outside of you for any unhappy feelings that you have. You realize that it is an invasion to blame others. You've been doing it to yourself.
Yeah, they're just your projection.
Yeah.
Blame someone else or anything else. You're saying it's not me, it's them, it's something outside of me. Do you see I'm separate from them? I'm not responsible, then I'm separate. But the consequence of that is that, that it really is outside of me. I have no control over it, so I'm a victim of the world I see. And that's exactly where the ego wants to put you. Remember, the lowest possible self-concept that it can invent is the victim identity. So it takes you down the ladder of separation into this box of believing that you really are an individual, that you're oppressed and hurt and unfairly treated by this unfair, cruel world outside of you. You're living a helpless, innovator little life of limitation, lack, known as suffering, and inevitably death. So this is an absolutely key point. One idea that I'm not responsible for any of this keeps me here. If I think that the world is outside of me and it's just happening to me and I'm not responsible for any of it, it keeps me locked into this prison. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So the lowest point of the ego, the victim, and the way out of it is simple. You're not a victim. You're not a victim of the world you see. You're responsible for it. That changes it all. Could it be that simple? Yes, it is that simple. But you have to apply it. Taking of this kind of responsibility isn't easy. Yeah, so stop being a mechanical robot-like person.
You can stop being a mechanical robot-like person who views themselves as pushed around by the world, i.e. a victim, when you realize that you can only oppress or hurt yourself. You begin to see the connection between your emotional programming and your suffering. You start doing something about it, which means reprogramming your mind. So you can stop being a victim. You can stop just following that programming that you've had all your life, and you can start reprogramming your mind and thus help with your suffering and get out of that.
Yeah, and that is, that's hugely good news, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You're not a victim. If you were, then there's no hope. Well, okay, I'm a victim. There's nothing I can do about it. I just have to suffer. I might try and ameliorate my suffering in inappropriate ways, but there's no way out, the suffering. But if you're not a victim and you can change your mind, then you'll see that there are powers that help you do that. This is the Holy Spirit. Okay, and then just the last one, your mind creates your reality. Perceptions are the picture you create.
Your mind creates your reality. Your perceptions are the picture you create from the energies you receive from the people and things around you through your various senses. Therefore, your perceptions are the result of your interpretations of the things and people you observe and interact with. And these interpretations are a result of your beliefs. You receive feedback from the people and things around you that confirms the belief you have, which continually influence how you interpret incoming sensory data. Your predictions and expectations based on your beliefs are therefore self-fulfilling. Since your state of mind creates your world or perceived reality, all you have to do to change your world is to change your state of mind. It's the only way to live in a peaceful, happy world.
It's a massive point, isn't it? I mean, what's he saying? Saying reality is in your mind. So don't try and change the external circumstances and people and so on. Just change your mind about it. Seek, it says at some point in the course, seek not to change the world, but seek to change your mind about the world. Because that's how you change your reality. If your reality is perceptual, you change your mind, you change your perception, you change your reality. And so you can instantly change the world by changing your perception. Do you see how powerful that is? Like instantly. It doesn't have to take, so, oh, you're going to change the world. I can never change. There's all this poverty and starvation and disease and war and pandemics, and you're never going to change that. You just change your mind about it. And you can do that instantly if you choose to. And then you've just changed the world in that moment because the world is perceptual. Do you see how powerful this is?
Yes.
Just massively empowered yourself to change anything because you've taken back the power to interpret and therefore create your reality from the ego, which has told you, no, you're just a victim of the world you see. This is your reality and there's much you can do about it. This turns that around. Says, no, you absolutely can because you can change your mind about it. But you must change your mind. If you want to be peaceful, you want to live in a peaceful, happy world, don't expect the world to change because that's just totally unrealistic. Well, suddenly there's not going to be difficult people in the world and, financial challenges and wars and disease. No, it's all going to carry on, but you change your mind about it. So those illusions don't affect you anymore. You've transcended them in your awareness. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we'll come back to this over and over, but this is absolutely massive, this particular fifth pathway. I take full responsibility here and now for everything I experience, for it's just my own programming that creates my actions and also influences the reactions of people around me. My own past conditioning, my own programming is what's doing it. So I can free myself from that. I don't have to continue believing in that programming and playing it out. Massively empowering. But you have to accept the simple truth that I'm responsible, you see. And the ego doesn't want you to accept that because the ego is telling you it's better to go and blame someone else or something else for it. It's trying to offload the guilt by saying, well, it's not me, it's someone else. Okay, so very important point, particularly number 5. If you could apply this, then this is the essence. This is absolutely the key to transformation and freedom. If you don't understand this, you don't take full responsibility, you will always be a victim of the world and you'll always be stuck in this box. As soon as you take the responsibility, you begin the process of correcting your mind, turning around, escaping from this really dark reality, the helpless, innovative little life that the egos put you in, and you start climbing back up the ladder, all the way back up to the top, which is the original split, the thought of separation, and beyond that into the one-ment. And it starts, that transformation starts with the acceptance that I am responsible. And why is that the case? Some people are like, well, I didn't hurt myself. Someone else did this to me. Well, on a higher level, the idea of separation led to all of this. And it's that choice to be separate that then caused you the pain and suffering that you experience. So you are responsible because you believed in the idea of separation. So it makes sense. Very powerful stuff, and very much in alignment with the Course in Miracles teaching. Said, very in a short, succinct way in these 12 pathways, which is also helpful. The way he's written it and packaged it it's very helpful. Okay, so any other thoughts on the fourth and the fifth pathway? Maybe just read them to recap. So someone read number 4 and number 5, see how they interlock.
Fourth pathway. I always remember that I have everything I need to enjoy my here and now, unless I am letting my consciousness be dominated by demands and expectations based on the dead past or the imagined future. If you are not enjoying every here and now moment in your life, it is because...
So you don't have to read the whole thing.
Okay.
That's the key point of number 1. I always remember I have everything I need. Enjoy my here and now. So this is opening up to the now, that you can find happiness and peace and joy in the now. I don't have to let my experience be dominated by the demands and expectations based on the dead past and imagined future. So that sets the scene, opens the way for this taking of full responsibility, which he talks about in the 5th pathway. So Elaine, if you can read that, take full responsibility here and now.
I take full responsibility here and now for everything I experience, for it is my own programming that creates my actions and also influences the reactions of people around me.
Yeah, you see how these interlock. This first insight leads to the second one, which is it's an affirmation. I take full responsibility. I'm fully responsible for my experience of life, for my mental and emotional state moment by moment. If I'm fully responsible, then I can change it, which empowers me to change any state, no matter how toxic and negative it may seem to be, into a positive one. And that transformation of state, change of mind, is the miracle, is the correction we're asked to do. Okay. So any other thoughts or comments or questions on that? Can you see how powerful this is? It's absolutely life-changing if you apply it, of course. You actually live it and you live this way. Okay. I take full responsibility. If you recall in the Ho'oponopono, I did go through this briefly, but this Ho'oponopono technique, where are we? Page somewhere down here. And then go, 2-step, and then go. Ho'oponopono, the key thing with this is that I am responsible. Absolutely key to this whole Ho'oponopono technique. So because I'm responsible, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Right? If I'm upset, it's because I allowed myself to be upset. for the erroneous thinking that's disturbing my peace. So please forgive me or help me to let this error go. You're asking for your higher self, the Holy Spirit, to help you let it go. And now I can choose to let it go completely and give thanks for that it is let go of, and that my mind is restored to love. So I love myself unconditionally. And it's all comes down to this key thing of I'm responsible. So it's a massive point. The essence of all transformation really is to take the responsibility and not project it onto someone or something else. Okay, so any other thoughts, comments, or questions on those pathways 4 and 5? We'll do number 6 tomorrow. And carry on at 1 a day the next week. Okay, so happy with that. Let's move on. So we've got just one more component related to today's teaching. I'm going to talk about the distortions of miracle impulses, which is section Okay, so this is a reading for today from the text. Section 7 of chapter 1, titled Distortions of Miracle Impulses, or translate that into distortions of corrective impulses, because miracles are corrective. Distortions of corrective. Okay, so let's read this in the original and alternative. Beginning with, I don't know whose turn it is. Is it Elaine? Kang? So read it in the original, and then in the first sentence, and then go down to the alternative, read it in the alternative.
Your distorted perceptions produce a dense cover over miracle impulses, making it hard for them to reach your own awareness. Your distorted perceptions produce a dense cover over correction impulses, making it hard for them to reach your own awareness.
So let's put it into the first person. I haven't done that translation, but just do that as we go in the translation. Translated version. My distorted perception produce a dense cover over correction impulses, making it hard for them to reach
My own awareness, right?
awareness. Okay. 2.
The confusion of miracle impulses with physical impulses is a major perceptual distortion.
No problem. Okay. Go. Cheers. I know it's after midnight there, so thanks for joining. Hopefully we'll see you in the week.
The confusion of corrective impulses with physical impulses is a major perceptual distortion. Physical impulses are misdirected miracle impulses. Physical impulses are misdirected corrective impulses. All real pleasure comes from doing God's will. All real pleasure comes from following the guidance of perfect love. This is because not doing it is a denial of self. This is because not doing it is a denial of self. Denial of self results in illusions, while correction of the error brings release from it. Denial. Oh, where are we? Lost my train. Where was I?
Thoughts and illusions.
Oh, yeah.
Correct. And brings release.
This is because not doing is a denial of self, yeah. So denial of self results in illusions, while correction of the error brings release from it. Do not deceive yourself into believing that you can relate in peace to God or to your brothers with anything external. I should not deceive myself into believing.
Say, I will not, Shami. I will not deceive myself.
That I can relate in peace to pure formless awareness of perfect love or to my companions with anything external. So from the top, my distorted perceptions produce a dense cover over correction impulses, making it hard for them to reach my own awareness. The confusion of corrective impulses with physical impulses is a major perceptual distortion. Physical impulses are misdirected corrective impulses. All real pleasure comes from following the guidance of perfect love. This is because not doing it is a denial of self. Denial of self results in illusions, while correction of the error brings release from it. I will not deceive myself into believing that I can relate to pure formless awareness of perfect love or to my companions with anything external. It's just talking about our distorted perceptions and how it can cover up our corrective impulses, making it harder to reach our own pure awareness.
This was today's headline quote, actually, was this first paragraph. So we discussed it earlier, but we'll have a little look at it again. So physical impulses can be things like food, substances, sex is a big one, and we desire these things based on physical. You're saying these are misdirected corrective impulses. Actually, we could correct them. We should and could be correcting these physical impulses because we're not ultimately physical, but we're not. So this is why they're misdirected corrective impulses. All real pleasure comes from following the guidance of perfect love. So we think that the world offers us pleasure in the physical, but actually real pleasure comes from the spiritual, comes from following the guidance of perfect love. It's not doing it as a denial of self. So if you don't follow the guidance of perfect love, you're denying who you really are, and this just results in illusions, which are false and which hurt you. Saying don't listen to the ego's arguments for pandering to the physical impulses, living your life according to physical impulses. That's a major part of the learning that we have to do is overcome these physical impulses, which can seem to be quite strong, based on our sense perceptions and our desires and our programming, and let that go and correct and realize that we are not physical. So why are we being controlled by physical impulses if we're not even physical? Surely that must just be a delusion. Okay, so happy with number one. I think
Yeah.
it's fairly. Let's move on to 2. Karen, if you can read that.
Okay.
And alternative, line by line.
Child of God, you were created to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. Extension of perfect love, you are extended to extend the good, the beautiful, and the pure. Do
Okay,
not
so
forget
just
this.
let's translate that into first
Mhm.
person. I, as an extension of perfect love, am extended. So created is, we're created to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. So the idea of the reason why we change create is it sort of implies that we didn't exist at some point and then we were created and came into existence, doesn't it? That's what the typical meaning of understanding the word is. But actually, if we're eternal, then we simply extended from this eternal awareness to pure forms to awareness of perfect love, eternally extended. And there was no point when we suddenly created and came into being. We've actually just always been that, and we're eternally extended by that source, which is our true nature. So hence the extension, extended to extend. So I'm extended, I'm extension of perfect love. To extend, my job is to extend the good, the beautiful, and the holy, or the pure. Okay, I'm going to carry on.
Okay. Do not forget this. Do not forget this. The love
So
of God.
I will not.
I will
So
not forget
yes,
this. Mhm.
yeah. If we personalize it, see, it becomes much more, instead of instruction, him telling us, it becomes, no, I accept the instruction and I state it as an affirmation. I will not forget this.
Mhm.
It's more powerful.
Yeah. The love of God for a little while must be expressed through one body to another because vision is still so dim. For a little while, pure formless awareness of perfect love must still be expressed through one body to another because vision is so dim. You can use your body best to help you enlarge your perception so you can achieve real vision of which the physical eye is incapable. I can use my body best to help me enlarge my perception so I can experience real vision of which physical eyes are incapable. Learning to do this is the body's only true usefulness. My body's only true usefulness is learning to do this.
And from the top.
Yeah, and I think there's a your just above that that needs to become a my,
Mhm.
your perception.
Really? So I can experience.
Right where your cursor is. Your
Okay.
perception and yeah.
My perception.
Yeah.
You know, best to help me enlarge my perception so I can experience real vision. Okay.
Okay,
Just
from the
check
top.
it.
I, as an extension of perfect love, am extended to extend the good, the beautiful, and the pure. I will not forget this. For a little while, pure formless awareness of perfect love must still be expressed through one body to another because vision is so dim. I can use my body best to help me enlarge my perception so I can experience real vision of which my physical eyes are incapable. My body's only true usefulness is learning to do this. So, since I am an extension of perfect love, I am here to extend that good. And I shouldn't forget this. I will not forget this. But for now, I need to express this from one body. I don't understand the part about the vision being dim.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Vision.
assuming it's
He's
maybe
talking
because,
about.
we don't. Sorry, go ahead.
No, carry on. What do you?
Well, I'm thinking it's because I can't see the purpose right now. I can't see the whole picture right now. All I can see is what my perception is allowing me to see. And so but I don't understand why that means it must be expressed through my body to another. I'm not making that connection yet.
So I can address that. Because we're still seemingly in bodies, still seemingly in the world, living in form, in bodies, one body to another. We're in relationships with other bodies, and that seems to be the reality of the world we live in. So my spiritual vision, if I'm just starting out on this, remember we, 7. This is only section 7 of chapter 1. He's addressing us where we are. He's saying, look, you're still beginners at this. Your spiritual vision is still dim, much on about the physical side. And you see bodies and you see a world outside of you, and you react to that as though these things are real. So your spiritual vision is still so dim. While this is the case, my task becomes to use my body to help me to enlarge my perception. Maybe we should say instead of enlarge, expand. Help me to expand my perception, so I can experience real vision, which my physical eyes are incapable. Real vision is a vision that transcends the physical, that I mentioned. Deborah's experience. That was, and she started seeing hearts everywhere, but there was a perceptual shift. It's happening on a mind level. It's suddenly you just see, but you're not seeing anything physical. It's just like you get it, you understand. Something happens on a mind level that you just expanded your mind and your perception massively, and then that can have physical effects. You can start to see visions, and she starts seeing hearts everywhere. That can happen, but it's primarily a spiritual shift, internal shift.
Yeah. So my understanding then is that I can use my body best to help me expand my perception. Means that I need to do that practice and just keep doing the breathing and the meditation and the reading and all of those things, and they will help me, and my body will let me do those things, and that will eventually expand my perception.
Yeah. And you can with the body, you can do breathing, you can read with the body's eyes, you can listen, you can speak, and so on. And so, our bodies are useful as learning devices to learn this. That's their only true usefulness. That's what he's saying. The body is a device. Otherwise, it's just a device to keep you separate, to convince you that you really are a separate self living in a separate body. But if it's reinterpreted, it's a learning device. It's there to help you learn, to expand your vision beyond the physical, to go beyond the limits of the body's sight and vision and sense perceptions into something that's transcendent dimension beyond the body. And that he's saying is your body's only true usefulness in this world. A very different perception of the body, isn't it? Think of how we've been taught to perceive our bodies and what most people do with their bodies. It's not this at all, but it's the one thing that makes sense. Okay, well, I'm in an illusion. The body isn't my true reality, but let me use it correctly to wake up from the illusion, to help me escape from the illusion. Surely that makes sense. So then the body isn't to be hurt or harmed or denied. It's like, okay, ultimately it's not real, but while we, seemingly in this world, you're going to have to work with it. It's there ongoing. It doesn't just go away. But it's just a vehicle Just like use an analogy of a car. So your car, your vehicle is just a vehicle. It's not who you are, but if you're going to get from A to B, it's very useful to have a car. Similarly, if you're going to get from A to B, in other words, from where you are to the awakened, enlightened state, the vehicle that you're in is very useful. It's a learning device, and it can help you navigate and drive from A to B. And that's its true purpose and true meaning. If you didn't have the vehicle, then how do you get from A to B? Well, you don't. So the vehicle is, although it's egoic, reinterpreted by the Holy Spirit, it's very useful in your learning to help you to ultimately escape from the whole world and the need for a vehicle. You don't need a vehicle in pure form of someone as a perfect love, because it just is. So it makes sense. So your body's just a learning device, and if you see it as such, then you have the correct perception of it. And you won't get caught up in pursuing physical pleasure, as most people do with the body. I'm seeking to gratify my physical impulses through the body, and I think that that's a worthy purpose for the body. But the more you do that, the more you find that you suffer. The pain pleasure dichotomy kicks in. The more you seek pleasure, the more pain you experience. Because they're both false.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so understood that, happy with that. Let's go to number 3 then. Elaine, if you can read that. Quite a long paragraph, this one. 14 sentences.
Fantasy is a distorted form of vision. Can't see the other bit. Fantasy is a distorted form of vision.
You can just read an alternative. It doesn't look like there's much to
Yeah.
translate. So
Yeah.
just read.
Fantasy is a distorted form of vision. Fantasies of any kind are distortions because they always involve twisting perception into unreality. Actions that stem from distortions are literally the reactions of those who do not know what they do. Fantasy is an attempt to control reality in order to satisfy false needs. Twist reality in any way, and you are perceiving destructively. Fantasies are a means of making false associations and attempting to obtain pleasure from them. But although you can perceive false associations, you can never make them real, except to your separate self. You believe in
Just
what...
pause there. Catch up.
Yeah.
Although I can perceive. So I can associations. I can never make them real except to my separate self.
I believe in what I make. If I offer corrections, I will be equally strong in my belief in them. The strength of my conviction will then sustain the belief of the receiver of the correction. Fantasies become totally unnecessary as the wholly satisfying nature of reality becomes apparent to both giver and receiver. Reality is lost through replacement of the true self by the separate self, which produces tyranny. As long as a single slave remains to walk the earth, your release is not complete.
My release.
Yeah. Complete restoration of the extension is the only goal of the correction-minded.
Okay.
It's just talking about the fantasy, and it's a distortion of vision. And
Just if you don't mind reading it from the top, let's make sure we got all the translations.
oh,
And, personalizing to first person rather than third person.
yeah. Fantasy is a distortion form of vision. Fantasies of any kind are distortions because they always involve twisting perception into unreality. Actions that stem from distortions are literally the reactions of those who do not know what they do. Fantasy is an attempt to control reality in order to satisfy false needs. If I twist reality in any way, and I am perceiving destructively. Fantasies are means of making false associations and attempting to obtain pleasure from them. But although I can perceive false associations, I can never make them real except to my separate self. I believe in what I make. If I offer corrections, I will be equally strong in my belief in them. The strength of my conviction will then sustain the belief of the receiver of the correction. Fantasies become totally unnecessary as the wholly satisfying nature of reality becomes apparent to both giver and receiver. Reality is lost through replacement of the true self by the separate self, which produces tyranny. As long as a single slave remains to walk the earth, my release is not complete. Complete restoration of the extension is the only goal of the correction-minded.
Okay. Thoughts on that?
Just talking about fantasies and its distortions of vision, and it's just an attempt to control reality, to satisfy the false needs. It's a twisted reality. And just we're just coming further and further away from the truth. They're just totally unnecessary. And just as it's like you say, we're lost.
Fantastic is a misused word. Not in today's world. It's fantastic. No, that means it's a fantasy. It's not real. But it's seen as a positive. Oh, well, that's just fantastic. Actually, actually, it's a fantasy. It's an illusion. That's what you're saying, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
So the fantasies of whatever that we've made up, by the ego mind and physical pleasure, and this is. I think he's probably, he doesn't talk very much about sex in the course, but he's alluding to it. So you can have all these, fantasies, physical pleasure, sexual pleasure. It's a major perceptual distortion, most people's minds. And he's just highlighting and saying, but this is just, it's fantasy, it's not reality. You're actually lost in this illusion. You think that, physical pleasure is going to somehow save you or do anything. So you seek it, but actually what you're really doing is just confirming that you're a body. The more you seek pleasure in and through the body, the more you're saying that I'm a body, and that then becomes my identity. And of course, the body is going to age and get sick and suffer and die ultimately. So you're just confirming that's the case, which is why pleasure and pain are just flip sides of the same coin. And so he's saying we must, free ourselves and help others to free themselves from this delusion, this fantastic delusion that we are actually a body. It's not true. And then our only goal is complete restoration, the extension, to its proper place as recognize the recognition that it's just mind, that we are mind and only mind. We're pure formless awareness of perfect love. We're not bodies, and that's the merging of the Father and the Son into one. All right. Happy with number 3? And the key message there.
Yeah.
Number 4, this is a course in mind training. Karen, if you can read that.
This is a course in mind training. All learning involves attention and study at some level. Some of the later parts of the course rest too heavily on these earlier sections not to require their careful study. You will also need them for preparation. Without this, you may become much too fearful of what is to come to make constructive use of it. However, as you study these earlier sections, you will begin to see some of the implications that will be amplified later on.
Okay, so it's giving us a bit of coaching on this process and the course.
Mhm.
Let's make this personalized. Without this, I may become much too fearful of what is to come to make constructive use of it. However, as I study these earlier sections, I begin to see some of the implications that will be amplified later on. Okay, we've got all that. Just read it in the alternative. Make sure we've got the translations okay. So that.
This is a course in mind training. All learning involves attention and study at some level. Some of the later parts of the course rest too heavily on these earlier sections not to require their careful study. I will also need them for preparation. Without this, I may become much too fearful of what is to come to make constructive use of it. However, as I study these earlier sections, I will begin to see some of the implications that will be amplified later on.
Okay. So he's giving us a bit of instruction on the process of the course and saying, okay, beginning of a course, study these carefully because it's going to prepare you for later on. Like any good, you're an educator, so you understand. You can't get to the advanced level of any subject until you've done the foundations.
Yeah.
Properly. That's what he's doing. He's laying foundations. He goes on saying a solid foundation is necessary and fight because of the confusion between fear and awe. So if you want to read that,
Okay.
the lane's just left us. So
yeah,
it's getting quite late here. It's still you're still early afternoon. It's quite
A solid foundation is necessary because of the confusion between fear and awe to which I have already referred, and which is often made. I have said that awe is inappropriate in connection with the sons of God, because you should not experience awe in the presence of your equals.
that's
However,
big translation.
A solid foundation is necessary
Mhm.
because of the confusion between fear and awe to which I have already referred, and which is often made.
So I'm going to translate that as Yeshua because first person is us.
Yeah.
So we have to make him then third person, to which Yeshua has already referred and which is often made. So he has said or is inappropriate. So he said this in a previous section, if you recall.
Mm-hmm.
Say that all is appropriate in connection with the extensions of perfect love. Because I should not experience awe in the presence of my equals. Okay, I want to carry on.
Okay. However, it was also emphasized that awe is proper in the presence of your Creator. However, it was also emphasized that awe is proper in the presence of my source. I have been careful to clarify my role in the atonement, without either over or understating it. Yeshua has been careful to clarify his role in the atonement without either overstating or understating it.
And say it is at one-ment rather than atonement.
Oh, yes, at one-ment. Yes. Yeshua has been careful to clarify his role in the at one-ment without either overstating or understating it.
And does the use of his real name rather than Jesus help? Does that help you?
Yes, because Jesus has a lot of
Yeah,
baggage associated with it. I'm not even religious, and there's just in the whole North American culture, there's just a lot of weirdness around it. So, yeah.
Yeah. So if you go, actually, his true name was Yeshua.
Yeah.
Because that's what he was called. Take away the Jesus was invented. It was a name given to him because it was anglicized or whatever. It sounded better than Yeshua, but that his true name was Yeshua. So now you're getting immediately more authentic. It's like, okay, what did he really? Who was he really? What did he really teach? Let's get away from the illusion of Jesus, which was manufactured. Yeah, he was a manufactured entity based on, a real life figure who did live at that time, but it was created, a created, manufactured identity, and this is who he was, and this is what he taught, which actually wasn't most of it wasn't what he taught and what he stood for. It was a misinterpretation. So the Yeshua just goes, okay, let's just do away with Jesus and let's focus on Yeshua as he originally was, what he taught, which is then part of the whole reinterpretation of this, of the message, of his true message, which is what this course is about. So that's why we change it, so you understand. Okay. She has been careful to clarify his role in one month, either overstating or understating it. Okay. Number 5.
He is also trying to do the same with his role in the at one-ment.
What's my role?
Oh, my role. He is also trying to do the same with my role in the at one-ment.
Yeah.
He has stressed that awe is not an appropriate reaction to him because of our inherent equality. However, some of the
it's fine.
However, some of the later steps in this course involve a more direct approach to pure formless awareness of perfect love itself. It would be unwise to start on these steps without careful preparation, or awe will be confused with fear, and the experience will be more traumatic than blissful. Healing comes from pure formless awareness of perfect love in the end. The means are being carefully explained to me. Revelation may occasionally reveal the end to me, but to reach it, the means are needed.
Yeah. And the revelation is, do you remember how we translate that?
No.
Okay. It's a state of pure formless awareness.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's a state of pure. Let me just fix this. Yeah. State of pure formless awareness. You might occasionally get a glimpse of this. It means are needed. So these revelatory experiences are quite rare. That can happen. I've had a couple of them.
Yeah.
But then you come back into perception. So, okay, well, perception carries on, the body carries on. And so the continuous correction, vigilance, awareness, and correction, the need for that continues. The revelatory experience can reveal the end. But then he's saying, get back on the saddle and focus on the process, which is living your daily life in the perceptual world, in a forgiving or letting go away.
Yeah.
reach it, the means are needed. So you realize, well, to reach that state perfectly, to stay in that state, I must correct my mind entirely. If my mind is at all uncorrected, I'm going to stay in the perceptual world of time and space, and I won't be able to remain eternally in the state of pure formless awareness. Well, this is what I choose. I want that. It's so one moment of this, you just go, what is this world about? It puts everything into perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't had one of these experiences yet, keep practicing, and it's likely that you will. As this one says, enlightenment's an accident. These things will happen spontaneously. You don't know when, but spiritual practices make you accident prone. So you're much more likely to have it than if you live like a slob, totally undisciplined, and just feed your face and do whatever. It's unlikely that you'll suddenly have a state of blissful, pure formless awareness if that's what that's how you live it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you practice disciplined spiritual practices like this, much more likely that it will happen when the time is right. That's not for you to say. It just it happens when it's most helpful for it to happen, and you trust that process. So that's part of letting go. You can't control your own enlightenment, your own at-one-ment process. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Because you have to go away. The separate self that's trying to control it has to be undone. That's the whole point. So of course you can't control it. It has to come from pure formless awareness itself, and it's just your memory of that, which is the Holy Spirit, remembrance of this awareness that is then guiding you on the journey. May occasionally give you the glimpse, reveal the end to you, and you go, wow, I've had that. It's just mind-blowing, but then that didn't last for more than a few minutes. So it wasn't the end. So, okay, well, it gave me a glimpse of the end, and it gave me a much deeper understanding of what this world's about. It was almost like the whole course just dropped in.
Yeah.
But then it's okay, the work in time and space continues. I must carry on applying this to correct my perception. That's what he's saying. The means are needed.
I'm wondering if there's another way to phrase the means are needed, because it just seems a little, I don't know, it was a little bit impenetrable to me when I first read it.
Occasionally reveal the end to me, but to reach it, the means are needed. But
like regular spiritual practice is needed or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and occasionally reveal the end to me, but to reach it, the means well, we can just say which is means, which is letting go. Or needed.
Yeah.
Does that work? The means which is letting go. Means are needed. We've got a plural. Means are letting go is singular. The means which is.
But the means.
All forms, maybe.
Well, yeah. The other thing is the means. That's actually like, I mean, it kind of is plural, but it's kind of singular too, right? The means, because it's the means. Yeah.
The means. Yeah.
I don't know.
Just sounds a bit clunky, isn't it?
It does.
The means,
yeah.
It doesn't really flow, so we're trying to make it. So speaking of which, just read it again if you don't mind from the top. Make sure that's
A
all
solid
okay.
foundation is necessary because of the confusion between fear and awe to which Yeshua has already referred and which is often made. He has said that awe is inappropriate in connection with the extensions of perfect love because I should not experience awe in the presence of my equals. However, it was also emphasized that awe is proper in the presence of my source.
So he also emphasized.
However, he also emphasized that awe is proper in the presence of my source. Yeshua has been careful to clarify his role in the at-one-ment without either overstating or understating it. He is also trying to do the same with my role in the at-one-ment. He has stressed that awe is not an appropriate reaction to him because of our inherent equality. However, some of the later steps in this course involve a more direct approach to pure formless awareness of perfect love itself. It would be unwise to start on these steps without careful preparation, or awe will be confused with fear and the experience will be more traumatic. Can we put a comma before or awe or something? Or there we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, so here we go. Personalize it. Instead of passive, it'd be unwise for me to start on these steps without careful preparation, or I will
confuse awe with fear.
I will exactly. So it becomes active rather than passive. Chance I'll use just makes it a lot easier to read.
Yeah.
You confuse all with fear, and experience will be more traumatic than blissful. Comma there. Not careful preparation. Does it need a comma there?
Probably not. Not now that it's been rephrased. Yeah.
No.
Healing comes from pure formless awareness of perfect love in the end. The means are being carefully explained to me. The state of pure formless awareness may occasionally reveal the end to me, but to reach it, the means, which is all forms of letting go, are needed.
And that's all forms of letting go, which is that's spiritual practices. And so meditation, or letting go, breath work, the forgiveness techniques, and so on. So that's helpful. Let me clarify that. The means are needed. So you keep letting go in time, and the revelation will happen when it's ready. Ready for it. And you might only have one experience in your whole life, but it's enough. Because once you've gone into that revelatory state, then there's no doubt anymore in your mind that there is another reality. You experienced it. How can you doubt it? So the ego is going to try and keep you far away from that as possible, and just rooted in time and space. But these practices open you up to the experience of that which is beyond time and space, i.e., a revelatory experience in which you go into pure awareness. There's no time, there's no space. The awareness of this world and the awareness of the body drops away, and you're just in a state of pure formless awareness of perfect love. And that is, that can be experienced. The mystics, the saints, the avatars, they experience this. They go into these very deep, high states of meditation. They experience it, and they come out of that, and they go, guys, this, what you're perceiving, what you're experiencing here, what you think is real, isn't real, because I've experienced another reality. And they speak from experience. That's the difference between a mystic and a theologian or philosopher. The mystic speaks from their experience of the ultimate state. They've experienced it, and so they can speak and teach from that place in a way that someone who hasn't experienced can't, because they don't actually have knowledge of it. There's an intellectual knowledge. Okay, the kingdom of heaven, and we can understand intellectually, but to actually experience it is another matter entirely. And what's required then is practice. Again, in your experience, you practice letting go, you practice doing breath work, you practice doing meditation. It's all experiential. That leads you to the experience, logically, of pure formless awareness, which is a revelatory experience that shows you the end. That gives you a glimpse of the end and encourages you massively to keep going. So, well, if that state which is so blissful is the end, then bring it on. It's amazing. And why would I choose this world over that? Doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've experienced it and just how, perfect, pristine awareness. It's absolute perfection. Nothing is wrong, and you're totally supported. You're fine. There's no sense of any fear. Just I'm absolutely, and there's no sense of an even I am fine. It's just a state of awareness. Very difficult to describe. This is part of the problem, because you can put it into words. You can try and put it into words, but as he says, it's a purely experiential. So your attempts to describe it are actually impossible, which is why everyone has to experience this for themselves. If it was possible to describe your revelatory experience and others to become enlightened from it, then everyone would be enlightened. You just have to account of someone like Yeshua who's had an experience and go, oh yeah, well of course, that's your experience, and that requires your some work.
Yeah.
The spiritual practice of the work, and so these experiences are typically reserved for people who've done the work. Occasionally they do happen spontaneously to someone who hasn't. It's possible, but you become much more accident prone, more likely to have these experiences if you do this work consistently in a kind of disciplined way. Okay, so the personalized executive summary, just read that to give a good summary of this.
Okay, the key messages of this section are: physical impulses are misdirected miracle impulses. All real pleasure comes from following the guidance of my true self, but when I deny my true self, it results in illusions, while correction of denial releases me from them. I can use my body best to help me enlarge my perception so I can experience real vision and that my physical eyes are capable of. I fantasize by making false associations and trying to obtain pleasure from them, which distorts my perception and blocks my awareness of my true self. But fantasies become totally unnecessary as I realize the wholly satisfying nature of reality through letting go of my fantasies and illusions. This is a course in mind training, and I need to study these early parts of it carefully to prepare myself for what is to come and not to confuse fear and awe. I can only experience awe when I am in pure formless awareness, and it is not an appropriate reaction to Yeshua or anyone else. Revelation of this awareness may occasionally reveal the end to me, but to reach this end goal, I must consistently let go and perceive everyone and everything from the perspective of my true self rather than my ego or separate self.
Okay. So that's a short summary. What typically do is do a key message as well. You'll notice ideas to do a personalized executive summary, and then the key message. So why don't we let me give it a go. How would you summarize all of this in
Okay.
one sentence? One or two sentences? Maybe we just go. Within that, all real pleasure comes from following the guidance of my true self. When I deny my true self, results in illusions, while correction of the denial releases me from them. Okay, that's quite good.
Yeah.
Let's just take that. Mm. Let's say to reach the end goal. Certainly in the state of pure formless awareness, which is revelation, we must consistently let go and perceive everyone and everything from the perspective of my true self rather than my separate self. You can leave an ego there. Okay, so just read that key message.
Okay. All real pleasure comes from following the guidance of my true self. But when I deny my true self, it results in illusions, while correction of the denial releases me from them. I can use my body best to help me enlarge my perception so I can experience real vision that my physical eyes are incapable of. To reach the end goal of being eternally in the state of pure formless awareness, I must consistently let go and perceive everyone and everything from the perspective of my true self rather than my ego or separate self.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable idea, is just to kind of chunk it down and go, so what did I like? You know, one of the challenges of the course, you can read a passage like this and you can go, what did I actually learn from that?
Yeah.
And read 5 paragraphs and go, okay, what I can't, like, I think people struggle to kind of pin it down and go, okay, it's all very amorphous and kind of out there. So if you don't read with a structure like this in summaries, it's very easy to read it and kind of go, yeah, I kind of get that, sort of. And then, you put the book down and or you carry on reading to another section.
Yeah.
But you haven't really internalized and got it. Okay, get the key message. And if you can start getting the key message of each section and internalizing it, then it's every section is a building block. You're like building the foundation of this new house of your life on these structures. So that's why I've done the summaries and key messages and stuff. And this is how, I mean, you'll know as an educator, you study this way. I'm like, okay, I'll make summaries, I'll make notes, I'll read it, I'll reread it, I'll reframe it so that I can understand this better. The course is no exception. I mean, you're studying. It's not the easiest thing to study. It's because it's not concrete. You're not learning a specific, okay, well, here are the points and you're talking about the mind, you're talking about life. It's not the easiest thing to study. So
yeah.
And here he's giving us some study notes. He's saying what he does every now and then is you'll say, okay, let's just look at the process rather than just the content. Let's look at the process of this course. He's stating very clearly that this is a course in mind training. This is all about training your mind into a very completely different perception of yourself, of the world, completely reversing that previous perception. That's what the mind training is designed to achieve. And so, slowly but surely, building blocks, put in place the structures, study these early sections well, learn them, because you're putting in place the foundations for the whole course. There's another 31 chapters, plus the workbook, which is 265 lessons, plus manual for teachers. There's 1,300. Probably with the supplements, I think it's about 1,400 pages. And this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't be daunted by that, but it's just like put in place. It's like any course. You start and you go, okay, well, let's chunk it down. If you're studying a year's curriculum, you start and you do one lesson at a time and you chunk it down, you study each one, and it starts to build so that by the end of the year, if you've done it properly, you really understand the subject matter and you become an expert on it. And that's the purpose. That's the 1 year. If you do it this way systematically and progressively, and you build it and you chunk it, chunk it down to bite-sized, chunks that you can digest, then in a year you can really understand. There's no reason why you can't understand this on a much deeper level than someone who studied it for 10 or 20 years. Well, I've seen people studied it for many, many years and they have no idea. It's just not penetrating. The message is not getting through. My own experience probably took me about 10 years to really start. Kind of understood it on some level. I could talk about it. I was teaching it. But did I really get it? No, I didn't get it for 10 years.
Yeah.
That process can be accelerated quite dramatically through this process. That's what it's been to do. So you can quicken it, you can speed it up. So you don't have to take 10 years. I didn't have anyone doing this kind of, I just read it. I'd read it and I go, okay, I've read like a section or two and there's something there. There's definitely something there, but I wasn't like making notes or summarizing it or going, okay, so what did I learn from that section? And so it took a long time.
Yeah.
To really understand it and go, and it took a lot of experience as well to start understanding what it's saying. So, and this is the fast track. You can find if this is your path and you want to do this and it resonates with you, then it can help you to learn it a lot more quickly and save a lot of time. So a lot of people, especially with the text, they struggle. So a lot of people say I've read the course, but they haven't actually read the text.
Yeah.
They've read the workbook.
Yeah.
But that's not the same as reading the text. To do A Course in Miracles, you really need to do the text and the workbook.
Yeah.
And all of it. But those are the two main components, working hand in hand or hand in glove together to help you not just to understand it theoretically, but to understand it experientially. Okay, so any questions on any of that?
No, and I actually have to get going, unfortunately, but I think we're almost done. Yeah.
That's a wrap. Yeah.
Okay.
Today. So thank you for joining, and I'll see you in the week. I hope. I know you've got to join us for half an hour if you can.
I will join as much as I can this week. Yes, absolutely. Monday and Friday might be a little longer. Hopefully.
Just let me ask you before you go. If it's at 11 your time, because that's 7 o'clock my time, does that make a dramatic difference, or can you still?
No, I'm teaching at 11.
Right. Is that every day?
Every day. Yeah.
Right. So 10.
Feel free to do it at 11 if that works better for you. It's fine. Yeah. Because
that's 7. So it gives me an extra hour to have dinner with my family.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense.
So that's why 7 gives me time to do that, and then I can dive into the session. So
yeah, no, dinner with family is very important. I think you should do that. Yeah. Yeah. And I might be able to jump on during my lunch break for a little bit. So yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. Your lunch break's at 1 o'clock your time.
Yeah, somewhere in there. It's like 11:45, I think. I can't remember. But yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah. I'll jump on when I can.
All right. Perfect.
All right. Thank you so much.
All
Namaste.
right.
Bye.
Bye for now. All right, so that's a wrap. Thank you to everyone who joined. Karen, Elaine, Bakung, good session. So if you would like to join us on the journey, go to theaolg.com to find out more and register for the next masterclass. Links below. You can also get some of the material that was shared, the daily quote, and my comments on it, and from tomorrow, daily lesson based on awesome Miracles workbook lessons. Sent you that, lifepuild.com. Again, the URL's below in the text box if you're watching this video on YouTube. And finally, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done that. If you enjoyed the content, I live stream 6 days a week. So join the subscribe to the channel to join us on YouTube 6 days a week. I hope to catch you on the inside though. Thanks for listening and watching, and namaste. Which means the true self in me acknowledges and honors that same true self in you. Peace.